We are live. Good evening and welcome to Free the Mind UK Chat with a Therapist. My name is David Carson. I'm your host for this evening, and we have a very, very special guest in the way of Bob Burns. And I'm going to introduce Bob in a moment. But before we do that, I'm going to play the intro video.
Not sure what therapy to choose? Free the Mind UK presents a chat with a therapist. Join us live for an up-close informal discussion of the various holistic therapies available, helping you make that important choice.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce our guest this evening. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to do one anyway. Welcome to the interesting, informative, the clever, the witty, the professional hypnotherapist, trainer and mentor, and of course, the creator of the amazing Swan protocol. I give you the one and only Bob Burns.
Is that it?
Bob.
I'll tell you, David, I'm fed up already. This has been a nightmare up to now.
Come on, admit it, Bob. That's the best introduction you've ever had.
I'll tell you what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the belly dancing music, the Indian music. That was phenomenal.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm trying not to be excited, but yeah.
Anyway, Bob, welcome. It's a joy to have you on tonight. We did attempt it last week and it went a bit peak-tongued, but there's always good things come out of those sort of things when they all go wrong.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you kept to your promise, and here you are. And we have 11 people watching us this very moment, Bob. So why don't you tell us about the Swan protocol, maybe how you come across it.
Okay, Doc. Shall I go now?
You go, Bob.
Let me get my glasses on so I can see you. Bloody Dave Carson, you're a good-looking guy. I don't think I haven't noticed that. So let's talk about the thing, of course, that I do, Dave, as you understand. I do lots of these things. And I just accepted an invite to do the Danish hypnosis thing in March this year, which will be good fun. And I've only done one since live since COVID came about, and that was in November of 21. So it's been, and I used to do this, I used to do maybe 10 or 12 of these things a year, so it's been really difficult. But I do most of them online now. So can I just say this very quickly to get out of the way, because I've got a guy called Pete Dalton giving me a hard time. He's running a thing for me in April. Sorry about this, guys. I'm selling already. Am I right? We've got a thing that's coming on in April. So if I could just mention that and get it out of the way. Can I tell you this? This is what he's done. He sent me this. Seriously. Yeah. I'll Pete Dalton sent me this 10 minutes ago. Right? 10 to 8.
Really?
Hi, Bob. Can I just say?
That's the way he speaks. It's not the way I speak.
Can I just say, I'd like you to use the following words tonight. If you're interested in learning more about what I do, how I set up my first session, how I use the Swan in the hypnosis, how I structure sessions to be as effective as possible, as well as how I deal with failure in the therapy room.
As if I would have failure.
Yes, it does happen, and don't believe anyone who claims otherwise. Then I am running the next Swan hypnosis and workshop in April. It's on Saturday the 22nd and Sunday the 23rd of April.
No, I'm not going to read anymore because it goes on and on and on. But I think I've given you the details. There it is right there.
There it is. Way ahead of you, Bob. Way ahead of you.
And you can get a discount if you go in now. In fact, if you book tonight, you'll get a Bob Burns pencil for free. How about that? It's a beautiful red pencil. There's nothing written on it. So yourself, at your own leisure, you can carve Bob Burns. Yeah, sure. It saves us money as well. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
Absolutely. Saves us.
So the funny thing about the Swan, Dave, is that most of the people I'm talking to already heard me talking about the Swan, where it come from, and so on and so forth. But I get asked to do it, so I don't have a choice.
I understood that.
Yeah. So we'll talk about a little bit about it. And we'll go from there, and we'll talk about where I am today with it, and where we moved on from there. So the interesting thing about me, a lot of people don't know this. I'm a Tai Chiist. How about that, Dave? I do Tai Chi, yeah. And back then, when the Swan came about, I had just done Tai Chi. It's a Saturday morning, and every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, I would be in the beach in Montrose doing a couple sets of Tai Chi. I'd come home, sitting down for right about just after 10 o'clock, and I don't know what it's called now. It's still the Saturday morning cooking, or a name like that, isn't it?
Yeah, cooking program.
I used to love to watch that. And this particular Saturday morning, I sat down, had myself a cup of tea, and watched the thing, put my fingers through my hair, leant back like this, and I just leant against the chair, the arm of the chair like that, you know. I wanted to look. And I do this. I talk to myself a lot. My kids won't go shopping with me. It's a freaking nightmare. I like it. I like the idea. I like the idea of talking to myself. Yeah,
I think it's a Gemini thing, Bob. I do that too.
I had to look at my hand, and it says, God, look at you. You look like a swan, because it was kind of shaped like that, yeah. And my hand went, yeah. And I went, oh, that's interesting, because I don't do idiomotor responses. I've been jealous of people who do them, you know. So I do that again, and my hand did it again. So it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I haven't been drinking. But this is interesting. And can you do anything else? Again, I get this shake. I said, at least you could look at me. My hand and arm completely turned around. You know, it's a little bit freaky, yeah.
Freaky.
It's a little bit freaky, and you know, we're doing it's a bolognese thing. I really want to watch this, but I'm being taken away by my hand. I'm missing the whole thing here. I'm kind of so we talked for a while, and I asked, could you say hello to me? And I get a wave, and it's just incredible. In fact, if I could be honest, it's the best the Swan has ever been. It was like, let's give a big booster. Let's give a big booster to say hello. So I shouted in my wife. I have an English wife, Dave. It's not the best marriage in the world. I have lots of challenges and whatnot.
It is what it is.
She was upstairs making the bed and going through my pockets from the night before. Anyway, she came down and I said, "What's this?" Expecting it not to happen, but it did happen. Now my wife knows I've got a sense of humor, but I'd like to think it's better than this. So she realized it was real. Tried it with her, nothing. And she's a moody woman, yeah. Would fight it anyway, yeah. So she just sat like that, staring at me. So, but she said to me, "I think it might be real. Why don't you try it out when you're in practice on Monday? I don't know, 4 or 5 clients on Monday." So I said, "I'll do it for a bit of fun to see what happens." I got some great results, absolutely great results. In fact, to this day, all that years later, I never got any better results than I did that very first day. Apart from what we call direct voice. We'll talk about that maybe in a minute, yeah?
Yeah.
So it was like that all week. And it was like that all the next week. So I did what people do in a thing called Facebook. I went online. I was a member. I think it was Barry Thane's thing at the time. I haven't seen Barry for a while. Really great hypnotherapist. And I went on Barry Thane's thing and I told the world how lovely this thing was. I didn't even have a name for it yet. Wow. And the world absolutely laughed at me. They told me I was an idiot. Quite right when you think about it. And a guy called Felix Economakis, who's a psychologist in London, a very moody guy. He's not a female, but he can be very moody. Yeah. He actually called me. He called me a cock. Am I allowed to say that in your program?
Yeah, say whatever you like.
I know that down south in England you call it a Scooby Dooby, something like that. Felix is Greek, and he called me a cock. He got very angry. So we exchanged some words. And that was before Facebook used to check you out. You could say whatever you wanted, yeah. And he said, "Well, if you're so clever, why don't you jump in a flight and come down here? And we'll see what you can do." So I agreed to do that. Meanwhile, I had a wonderful couple of people that I talked to on this. Maris Zalitas was with me. He came across from Eastern Europe, and we did some work together. And he watched me doing this thing, and he says it's just incredible. He wanted me to call it it's like a swan, and he says you need to call it the Bob Burns Swan. I'm a little bit funny about the name thing, you know. And I just felt a little bit funny. I'm not knocking other people who use it. It's just me. Felt a bit funny. It says if I called it anything, I'd call it a swan, and we'll see what we can do with it. So we took that a bit further, and then something. Anyway, I went to see Felix. He had a room full of about 20 people, a lot of them psychologists and what have you. And for me, it was terrifying. Remember, I've never done this with a group of professionals. So I went in, and I'll tell you, it was more terrifying than I would even let on. It was just really nerve-wracking, and I don't normally get that nervous. So we did it. I pulled a guy, a lovely guy called Dennis, who's passed on since then now, a young man, about 27 years old, came and sat down. I did the Swan with them to demonstrate to the group, and Dennis was beautiful. He was a perfect subject. And he went right into something that I never knew. What I didn't have a name for it. I started talking to the Swan, and the Swan said, "Hello, Mr. Burns." And I thought, "Oh." And again, I'm looking, I'm smiling, I'm nodding at him, I'm out of it. I don't know what's going on. They are with me right now in this thing because it's never happened before. We chat to this part within him, who also called itself Dennis, to which they would have put down, I guess, to some kind of a higher self or something like that. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Which I would have done also at the time.
Yeah.
I suppose. I suppose that's fairly well. Up until that time, I would have been a kind of a parts therapist, I suppose. Yeah. Although I'm trained in many things, I like parts therapy. I was comfortable with that, and I thought this would be a bit. And even today, a lot of people get the Swan mixed up with parts therapy.
I can understand that.
The difference of parts therapy, if you follow psychology, which is my background, so that's where I come from. That's why Felix and I had a lot in common with each other. We don't believe that parts is real. It's a part deep within the subconscious. We'll keep it at that without getting any deeper. So okay, so we believe that's it. The Swan puts forward a suggestion. It gives a little nudge, and it says, as I called my book, it's either real or it's imagined. And when I took that book out, and when I always teach the Swan, I always say it's real or it's imagined. And I get to see the people in the room who are really pissed off at me, they're more pissed off at me because I never make a claim that it's real. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
So that's my close. It's real or it's imagined. But some of the things that's happened within it were really rather special. What we did at that time with Felix was during the coffee break, we sat down. I did something with someone there, and someone had filmed it.
Yeah.
They put it on the internet, and the thing exploded. It's not even a great one. It's kind of okay. It was very slow. It's like that. But I think what happened is that everybody knew that it was real. Because if it was fake, it would have been perfect, and it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
So I think the world looked at it and said, "Oh my God, I think this is real." So I then decided to and Felix Economachus and I became really good friends. Great kisser, by the way. He's Greek, and that's accepted. The boy's which is next door to being a woman, and there's nothing wrong with it. He's got that gender issue thing going back. Okay. That's a different monster altogether. So I went and I made a DVD, and I paid £1,000 for the Swan DVD that most people would have seen by now. It cost me exactly £1,000. And I remember my wife. Remember I mentioned earlier, she's very moody. I remember I was thinking, how do we get this £1,000 back? And I think at that time we put it out there for £29. I didn't know whether to charge £500 for this thing of beauty or a fiver. I had no idea. 29. Today, everybody has a 7, yeah? Everything sells at 7 this year. £137. That's ridiculous. So I put it out there at £29. And here's the funny thing: we got all our money back by Thursday. The thing just exploded.
Wow.
And if you ever come up to my neck of the woods, you'll know this to be true, because lots of people would come to my home and they train with me in my workshop at that time, pre-COVID. And they've been with me going down to the post office, getting some Swan DVDs away. And they would know at that time that everyone in the post office, it's a bit of a laugh. But the first thing they ask me, what is it? You've got to ask, and what's inside the package? It's actually, I'm a former cage dancer, and it's me naked in a cage. And people buy it. And they just looked into my face, and I thought, I don't know what they're going to do next. But they just went, fair enough, and stopped it. And I did that for months. And then they started getting into a bit of humor. They thought, I think he's joking. But they looked me up, and they know who I am. Any new people at the post office to this day, when they say, what's inside the package? I go, girls, and all these women turn their head and go, it's him dancing naked in a cage.
Oh, mate.
It's a thing that's been going on for quite a lot of years.
Oh, I love it.
So we made up the DVDs. The DVDs went off, and it was just ridiculous. No time at all. It just exploded. And I can be honest, I don't mind saying that it paid off 3 of my
You got your
mortgages.
£1,000 back.
Just exploded. And then I started getting asked to do workshops around the world. So just post COVID, I had a great life. I was coming back from Ireland that Tuesday. We were going off to France. Then I was doing Australia next month. Then I was going off to see Mike Mandel in Canada. A few weeks after that, everything stopped, didn't it?
Wow.
We got this word called lockdown. We thought, what does lockdown mean? Look it up. I don't know. So lockdown is when you go into your home, and you lock the door and you don't go out. And we thought, shit, that's annoying. How long is that going to take? This could be a week or more. Well, 3 years actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine if everybody told us that at the time, your lockdown, it'll be for 3 years. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, the suicide rate would have just exploded.
It would have, Bob. It would have.
So that's what happened with the Swan. That's where we are now to this day. COVID stepped in and so on and so forth. So most of the time I do, even now, you know, I'll be doing a workshop in a couple of months. This one that you're advertising right now it's an online one, the one in April. Again, 3 Bob Burns pencils. Anyway, I know lots of stuff, Dave, but they mainly want the Swan, and I get that.
Yeah.
So we get through that. But I work them hard. You come to my workshops, you'll be worked hard, but by the end of it, you'll be able to do the Swan, and you'll be able to do it as well as me.
I wanted to say to you, Bob, when you first did the very first one, so you said that was the best one you ever did. So do you often struggle with your Swan, yourself Swan, or does it got better?
I'm not the best Swanner in the world.
Yeah.
I'll do it for you right now, and it'll be genuine. I mean, I could do the thing and pretend and move my hand. I won't do that. I'll do it for real because it happens fast with me. And here we go. Are you ready? So if you could tweak one of my fingers, please, that would be great. Now, immediately I can feel something happening in that hand. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I'm not going to give it 3-4 minutes. It's not going to move.
Right.
It won't move when I ask for yeses and no's, and it'll be only small. I'm not going to do that. But watch this. If you can just turn my hand for me and my arm, that would be absolutely great. I wait again. I feel something happening already, and this happens.
Yeah.
And here we go. It's not great, but it's absolutely genuine. And even now to this day, it just brings a smile to my face. It's just ridiculous.
Amazing.
By the way, I know lots of people could argue with this. Please, not tonight. Is that okay? We do all that at the workshop. Well, I think it's this. I think it's that. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours on this. I ask for a wave. I hardly ever get it. You want to give me a wave? I don't get it. But I'm surrounded in a room of people that can do it. And then I ask it to turn back. That won't be a problem. If you can do that for me, it'll be great. My hand will turn back. Now, I'm not going to do it now because it takes too long. If I ask for yeses and nos, I'll normally get a yes like this and a no like that. But I'm not strong with it. But when I train people to do the Swan, and I've trained them, and I've got the money in my pocket.
Doesn't it piss you off, Bob, and they're better than you?
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. They would need to be because I'm not great at it. I love it.
Yeah.
Again, I was never a great hypnotist. I hypnotized. The first time was in 1973. But I never went into hypnosis myself. I was jealous of these people.
Same as me.
But no, I'm a pretty good hypnotist, but I don't go into the level that most people go into. People hate me saying this, by the way, and some people who run hypnosis academies hate when I say this, but I say it because it's true. It's simply true.
Go on.
The average person that goes into hypnosis, the numbers are, people say it's about 90% when I do it. It's really great. It's all nonsense. I tell you now, it's 5%. It's the exact opposite. It's 1 in 20. By the way, I need to make this clear. I'm talking pure somnambulism.
Stage show sort of.
Where I could put a needle through their hand. They truly believe. Bang. Their name is Brenda. We've been married for 3 years. We've got sons, Tom, Dick, and Harry.
I completely agree with you, Bob. I've come across the exact same thing. But you can still work with people in a light trance, so that's all right. Now, Bob,
we don't even need them to be in a light trance.
No.
Yeah.
We've got a few people on here, Bob. Here we go. We have.
And by the way, anybody can ask any questions at any time, and we'll answer them as we go through. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we've got Simon Manley there. Evening, Bob.
Man.
We have Eddie McAvoy, fellow Scottish man. Good.
I've slept with Eddie McAvoy more than once.
There's your one of your favourite guys, Steve
Oh,
Barker.
Steve Barker.
He's
Look at
not
that
saying
smile.
hi, Bob. He's saying hi,
Look
Eddie.
at that smile. That's like a former model. No, seriously.
What else have we got here? We've just seen if we got any questions. Oh, here we go. Look at this. I trained online with Bob last year through that. Well worth it. Have you paid him any money, Bob?
Who was it that said that? Can I ask?
Steve Barker.
Yes, Steve Barker. Yeah, excellent trainee as well. Very, very good. Quite obedient. Lovely, wonderfully obedient boy. You know, he started calling me master, and I never even asked for that. You know, I don't know what that's about. Simply no idea.
I love it. I don't know. You get the question off. Do you remember? I just want to go back, Bob, to when you did that first seminar with it. Seminar. When the voice came out, the voice box. Did you actually prompt that to do that, or did it just happen?
You know what? I think the hypnotist in me cheated a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back now,
Right.
and some people accused me of that. And as I heard their accusations, I thought, yeah, I get what they're saying. You know, I was when you do this, you're supposed to pace. You're not supposed to lead.
Yeah.
Leading is like into the hypnosis side. I think I did that. I try not to do it now. Anybody who's seen me, Steve's listening to this now, he'll know, and everybody knows, when I get the right voice, even a movement, I look at them and I become quite almost aggressive. I say, you didn't do that to please me, did you?
Yeah.
And I've even practiced getting my voice right for that. My body language leans forward, my eyes open. You didn't do that to please me, did you? And they go, no. And I said, well, or some will say, well, maybe, I'm unsure. Okay, so the next thing is, and everybody who's trained with me knows this, the next thing is don't open your mouth when I ask this to happen. Do not allow the part within you to speak. That you can do that, yeah, okay. Same part inside them. I'm not going to put their conscious against the subconscious. I just want to see how strong you are. I've asked Dave not to speak now. Do you think you can still say hello to me? And this will go on for a while, and then this will happen. Hello, really loud.
Wow.
And the guy in the chair goes, shit.
I can imagine.
So I want to make sure I'm not getting compliance at all. Here's a perfect example for you, Dave, about the compliance thing. And by the way, some people will be listening to this and you'll decide not to believe it. That's okay. We don't get to decide what we believe, Dave, in life. A lot of people are listening to this right now thinking, this guy is shit. Of course I decide what I'm going to believe. But guess what? Nobody does. It's not a decision thing. We either believe a thing or we don't. I'll prove it to you right now. My name is actually Dorothy. I'm sitting here with a red dress. You know what I'm saying? Nobody believes me.
Yes.
But so they'll either believe this story or they won't. And I've got lots of stories like this. I'll keep this very, very quick. So again, a client that came along to me, this is the first time that happened. Client comes along, and the party comes through, claims to be, and by the way, lots of claims of entities, claims of people who've been with them in different stages in their life, family members now who passed a couple of years ago. It can be lots of different things.
Yeah, that's a fascinating.
They themselves in a past life can come forward, and I've had that. But this particular person was someone who claimed to be his wife, spoke quite later, a different accent, and the accent was something like this. I tell you, because we live in Barcelona, and it was an English Spanish accent. Yeah.
Wow.
So I listened for a while, and I said, okay, so when was this? Well, this part, he died from this life in 1947, and she continued to run the Barcelona restaurant, which we've checked, and it's there to this day.
Wow.
Interesting. But this could all be nonsense. So then I say, so to cut short the time, I say it's a Saturday night, 1947 Barcelona. I arrive at your place 9:30, whatever, with 3 friends, and in Spanish, I ask you a question. What would I ask you? And I thought, this is pretty cool. First of all, I stopped and I said to the guy, do you speak Spanish? This guy's white, by the way, but this I don't speak any Spanish. So this will be fun. This will be interesting, not expecting anything. And I say, what kind of question would I ask you? And this part inside him, real or imagined, said in absolute perfect Spanish, you would say something like, quiero una mesa para 4 cerca la ventana, por favor.
Wow.
In other words, can I get a table for 4 near a window, please? And it was then I started investigating that. And we've had some wonderful guys talking to me in pure German. What about that? And doesn't speak a word of German. No, I'm not claiming that.
You've got to do the German one.
I'm not making that claim. It still might not be right. I'm aware of that. And I have to think that way because I train people and I've got to know what I'm talking about. I mustn't buy something completely.
Mm.
It could be lying.
Mm-hmm.
It could be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It could be within the DNA. And it wasn't in Spain. It was his great grandfather that spoke perfect Spanish. And he does now, along with this crazy dream, that he left this beautiful wife back in 1947 because he can't stand the one he's with now. And he's got the memory of, I don't know. Some experts say that's true. I have no evidence myself that that's the case. The evidence I've got is what I'm told. I'm his wife from 1947.
Wow.
And it's hard for me to fight against that. But I'm very comfortable. Remember what I said?
Yeah.
We can't help what we believe. I'm very comfortable with somebody saying to me, Bob, I think that's a load of shit. My answer to that is to throw my head.
It could be a load of shit, Bob, and it might not be a load of shit. It's one of those things, isn't it?
We don't know.
We don't
Hypnosis is a funny thing, Dave. I mean, I was first hypnotized by my Uncle Billy, who did not touch me in any way when I was under. Yeah. Anyway, so we never really know, do we?
We don't. And I wanted to ask you also, Bob, like when you're doing the self swan, or even doing that, like I've done the swan a few times because I do a lot of these mind, body, spirit fairs, and I've got my little table there with me banners up, and I'm, inviting people over, and I do swan with them. And sometimes it don't seem to work. Like we know, some will, some won't, so what, whatever. So is there a time limit? How long do you spend on it, or do you cajole into coming out?
No time at all. Remember, they're not expecting the swan. They're not expecting something miraculous to happen. If I get that, fine. If I don't, I'm out of there in 2 minutes.
Okay, so you don't hang about. You'll try different.
No, I've seen people doing this for 10, 15 minutes. I'm there in the room. I'm bored shitless. It's destroying me. I can't say anything. They've given me a couple grand. I'm sitting in the room trying to look interested and go, yeah. But really, I'm saying, can I go? Yeah, it's a nightmare.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm not going to spend 15 minutes next time with that poor lady that bothered to tears with it.
There are lots of things that we know by doing lots of things. So, for example, if I'm doing this, asking for a finger to move, I have no expectancy whatsoever, and it doesn't matter, because for me, maybe 95% of the time, this is going to happen. Yeah.
Right.
The fingers less. So, and I like that, because the finger should be easy. The move an arm should be harder. The exact opposite is true.
Yeah.
And I have never had a turn without getting a return. I even have lines for that. Anybody who's trained with me will tell you, Dave, that I'm scripted. Scripted for a reason.
I was going to talk about that later.
Well, we can get into that. I'm scripted mainly to ensure that I cannot make a mistake. So if I do a consultation, I cannot make a mistake. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So if I do this, I say, well, that's okay. You've turned that hand and what, and you're giving away a bit. I wonder. I don't wonder. I know.
Yeah.
But my speech is going to be, I wonder, you couldn't turn that all the way back, could you?
Yeah.
And they're sitting looking at me going, that's not going to happen, is it? Because the arm is now leaning like this, all the weight is on it, and then this happens. And that will blow them away. Again, it's a hypnotist in me. I'm using that as a convincer.
Absolutely.
I don't want to, but I know that's going to happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I did it on my 11-year-old daughter, and she was a great swanner, Bob. It was like that, I can't do it. I get in front of the camera, it was moving about, finger twitching and everything. It freaked her out, to be honest, a little bit. But
what's the modern word? And hopefully people will excuse me when I say this. I was born in the 50s. So what's the word we use again now? My wife gives me a trouble for us, but I can't remember it. So we used to call them Mongols. What do we call them in today's world? Can I remember?
Mongols. No idea.
What are they called again? Somebody write in and tell me. So I want to make sure I'm using the right wording. Yeah. So we're told that you cannot hypnotize this particular type of person, and that's completely not true. Wonderful hypnotism. By the way, I got that from the medical profession. It doesn't work. Wow. And I just, when I did the Swan, if you look at the Swan DVD, at one point you'll see a lovely girl sitting there, and there's just a flash of her, and then they made the DVD, and she's not on the DVD. Just the intro, just a flash. And I said to the guy, why didn't you show it this particular girl? And he said, I didn't feel it was right.
Wow.
I was furious.
I can imagine.
Why would that not be Down syndrome? That's what I'm looking for, yeah? I'm looking for Down syndrome.
Okay,
so I was told that you could not hypnotize somebody with Down syndrome. It's just not true. I was also told many years ago, people will know this, you can't hypnotize older people, they're far more difficult. Nearly everything is very mythy. We're riddled with myths, thousands of myths. And it used to be simple hypnosis. Find somebody who can do it, they show you, that's it. Now, 3 things are going to happen in your life. You know, you're going to be born, you're going to die, and somewhere in the middle, you're going to train to be a hypnotherapist. It's horrendous. So we've got lots of them, thousands of them. My competition is in tens of thousands, and a lot of them haven't been trained. How about that? Because their trainers haven't been trained.
Exactly. Well, I was going to talk later about sharpening your skills, and you mentioned in your book your steel is your therapy room, and I really love that because that's where you sharpen all your skills. I mean, personally,
stop there for a second, Dave. I need people to understand this. The word steel you mean is not to take. You mean a steel that you sharpen your knife on, yeah?
Exactly. Which I should have said, to be fair.
That's okay.
I should have said, but yeah, and it's so true. I mean, personally, I mean, you asked me last time when we were talking on the phone, do I have another job? Which I do. I mean, I run a cleaning company, so I do my therapy part time. And you know, I'm at this point where I've done so much studying, and I, in a way, I don't get enough practicing. So I go to my mind, body, spirit fairs. I invite people over. I pretty much do it for free. Because I'm gaining from it, Bob. I'm getting experience with them. Do you know what I mean? But there's
there's nothing wrong with that. We'll take whatever we can. We come back to this word again, the steel. I can't remember writing that in the book. How about that?
Yeah.
But now that you mention it, let me say how important that is. It was probably in a paragraph, in a page, it got turned, and it's forgotten about by everybody. That is massive. Most of the trainers I know don't do therapy. Most of the trainers I know have never done therapy. How about that?
I know.
I can name names. Now, if you got a
name
knife,
him, Bob. Name him.
If you've got a knife, that knife is going to get blunt. By the way, I'm a butcher to the trade. How about that? So that's how I really know the analogy of what I'm talking about. So the butcher, or even someone in a slaughterhouse, I used to work in them as well. Every now and again, you do this. You pick up the steel. You don't go shh, 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 shh. You don't do that. You do this. Shh, shh. That's all you do. A couple of touches. Another 30 seconds. Shh, shh. You keep the blade on your knife. And if you're not doing therapy, if you're not in your room, you're not working, then you cannot keep the edge on your knife. It is impossible. It can't be done.
Absolutely.
So that's why, Dave, I'm the only, as well as I know, and somebody can come and tell me if it's different, I'm the only trainer that I knew, the only trained in the therapy room. I didn't have a hypnosis academy. You had to come to my home. You had to sleep here for a couple of nights with me, if you're attractive like you, Dave. I would do that. The kind of guy I am. But you'd come to work with me, and you'd watch me creating miracles, hopefully. But also, right enough, you'd see me not making it. The guy's not being hypnotized by me. I'm not doing a Swan. It's great for me to let you see me fail and still do. As you said, and that's in my room, it would be above in the wall for people to look at. No one ever asked. SW, SW, SW. It's to remind me that some will, some won't. So what? I've got another client in half an hour. I can't get too depressed that I can't get Johnny to close his eyes. Yeah. So that's all part of the steel, keeping your edge sharp.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you never show them when you make mistakes. You know, it's your sales background, wasn't it? I mean, that sales background was amazing for you in many respects. You know,
we don't. I'm happy for the person that's with me that I'm training to see my mistakes, but the client will never know. It's the way we word things. For example, you know, I've got a broken finger. I need it fixed. I can't fix a broken finger, but I can make it seem like I can by doing this. That looks like I've just fixed it. They heard the bone crack. All of that stuff goes on, and so on and so forth. A hand stick. Every therapist should always do a hand stick, and it should never be this, because that's lactic acid. It should be a hand stick on a table. But what if I told you I do my hand stick, and it always works? How about that? Now, immediately, that's a kind of a lie, because I've used misrepresentation and omittance. Right? I've misrepresented what I've said right now, and I've omitted a couple other things in it. It's too long to explain. You'd have to come to my class to see that. No, but seriously, it is too long to explain.
I get it. After reading your book,
about that. In other words, the client will not see me fail.
Exactly.
You'll not know if their hand never stuck. It's ridiculous. That's the way it works.
We've got another question, Bob. I'm gonna bring them in because I think obviously people like.
Meanwhile, we're waiting. Just won another trophy this week. Top consultant in the UK. That's 5 years in the trot. Brilliant.
But yeah, Bob, it don't surprise me, mate. Honestly. So we've got Eddie McInboy. Do you want me to read it out, Bob? I tried and failed to hypnotize a fellow hypnotist who was a female. No one could. On the fourth attempt, I used the Swan. Hand all over the place, and she was out like a light without asking her to close her eyes. So there you go. And I think you've talked about that before, Bob. You've had people who won't go into hypnosis and they'll go into the Swan dead easy.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have been but Eddie wouldn't have hypnotized her. That would be the part taken over.
Yeah,
people will often see me saying, will often see me saying, can I hypnotize Dave, or would you like to hypnotize Dave? And the part goes, yeah, I'll hypnotize Dave. And I'll say, go on then, nothing else, and this will happen. No, it's interesting. Having said that, a pure stage hypnotist could make it look like he's doing that.
Of course.
There's a difference.
I've done this. I had a guy, a friend of mine actually, I was practicing on him, and he had a phobia of spiders, and I did the Swan on him, and he was amazing with the Swan, that it was moving everywhere. And I actually asked the Swan, look, in a minute I'm going to hypnotize Aaron, will you take him into a deep state of hypnosis for me? And maybe I could have asked the Swan to do it there and then, but I actually got him to finish the Swan, and then he did. He went into this beautiful it appeared to be a beautiful deep state of hypnosis, and his phobia was a lot better afterwards. Like the fear.
It's an interesting thing, because for people with fear of spiders, what I did is I had a pet spider that I would do a form of hypnosis with. What about that? Mm-hmm. It would go into his back legs and it would go like this for a while. Really interesting. Really? Kept it in a matchbox. I had it for about 9 months, and a woman called Brenda Shanks came in one day, fear of spiders. And I said, look at this. And I opened the box, and it just came in and just went, and she took her hand and she just went, fucking spiders, I can't stand these bloody things. Sorry, Bob, what were you saying? And, the whole thing was ruined.
We've got another question, Bob, while we're at it. Let's have a look. Steve Barker, I think. Steve Barker, your mate, Eddie, I think the Swan is more about matching it to the client more than matching it to the issue. Great that it worked for you when all else failed.
Well, the client has got nothing. The Swan has nothing to do with the issue, of course. He's absolutely right. Yeah, the Swan is linked to the client in far more. If you go and watch The Swan Speaks, you'll see fathers, you'll see daughters, you'll see ex-husbands coming through, real or imagined. Yeah. So when that happens, we work with what we're given. Yeah. I'm feeling a wee bit tired just now. I'm just going to witness this.
No worries, Bob. I'm going to put another question in that. I don't know when you're messing and when you're serious, Bob, to be honest. Oh, hang on, we've had that one. It's Stevie Barker. I had a lady last week who was convinced their Swan was being animated by her late mother. Who am I to disagree? There you go.
Absolutely. We're just going to roll with that. Of course, at the end of the day, we're there for the first question we ask, which is, and why are you here today? It's a great question, is it? And a lot of people think I'm asking why they're here. I'm not asking why they're here. I'm saying, why are you here today? Because they've had this thing for maybe 3 years. But why are you here today? We're specific with the language that we use. Then that happens. And then when that happens again, and a part comes along and says, I can fix this. I'm the mother. We never argue with that. Could you imagine if a therapist turned around and well, you say that you're the mother, but
Can you imagine it? That'd be funny as well.
Special type of therapy. I'm a honest therapist. Never.
Oh, Bob. Well, okay. Say you've got someone coming in with a phobia. I'm using phobia a lot tonight, Bob. Would you ask? When you're doing this one, would you actually ask the part that's responsible for the phobia to come through into the Swan, or do you just get any generic sort of part of them or whatever, and then work with that, or do you actually try and bring that part through that could possibly be connected with the problem?
Well, we've moved into parts therapy there, have we? I used to do that. I don't do it as much now. I don't knock that. I know lots of people who do that. If they're happy, I don't want them to change. I want to find out why they're here. Then I want to relax them, John Grinder says relax the hell out of them. You don't need to hypnotize them. One of the best things they ever said, that was way back in the 70s.
Yeah.
I relax them. I get rid of anxieties. What is of the past? What is of the present? What is of the future? And all feelings of guilt, shame, and remorse. Then we go for the bit that's a problem for them. And I say to the partners there, by the way, if you're here, could you help me with this? So it's like a chat in a pub over a shandy.
Absolutely. And that's what I
it's
love.
It's not a case of no, go deeper. That's right. And deeper. Imagine if I talked like that to you in a pub. That would be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
How are you? Do you want more lemonade? It would be horrendous. I said, do you think you could help with this? And the part will often come in and say, well, yeah, let's try it and see what happens. Let's see what happens over the first week. Because I do 2 sessions with everybody. I need to do at least 2 sessions to find out whether it's worked or not. After that, we'll see what happens. They might be fixed and might need 3 or 4. I might average 3 or 4. But I know I've got clients who have been coming to see me for years.
Yeah.
And I could understand if somebody says to me, you must hypnotize these buggers. They keep coming back.
They just love you, Bob. That's what it is, right?
They love the session. They absolutely love the session.
It's we've got another question. I've got to bring it up because it's my friend James, and I think I missed his question. Is this one only limited to yes and no questions? Some people, that's parts again, maybe. But
okay, well, in all fairness to James probably isn't highly experienced in the Swan, but just for James, we'll do this right now. So if you could imagine, James, that I've said to don't want to get too deep into this. We'll do it very quickly, James. Is that okay? So here we go. I've got yeses and I've got no's. And my next question is to the part that's talking through Dave's hand. If you could, you can move their finger and you can move their hand. But if I was to ask you, do you think you're able to move their voice, their cardiovascular system, their lungs, their lips, their teeth, their mouth? I get a yes. Would you like to try that for me right now? I get a yes. Would you like to, I don't know, try and do that right now? Take a nice deep breath and say hello to me. Do you think you could do that? Yes. Okay, on you go now. And suddenly this happens. Hello, Mr. Burns. We have a different world, James. Yeah. And I'm not going to be asking for any more yeses and nos. I'm going to be asking James, tell me who you are. Where did you come from? How long have you been here? Are you a spirit? Are you a guide? Or are you just in their subconscious part of their imagination, which is fine? Well, I'm actually their uncle. My name is Fred or whatever. So the whole world changes, James. That makes sense. Or would you be doing yes, no? I might as well be with the pendulum. I'm not knocking the pendulum, by the way. It's not real. But I'm not knocking the pendulum. So for all you pendulum users, it's great. It takes care of psychosomatic problems very, very well. But I might as well be doing that. I'm just doing idiomotor responses, yes and no. By the way, there's a whole thousands of people out there think the Swan is an idiomotor response. Could you imagine an idiomotor response saying, "Quiero una mesa para cuatro, thank la ventana, por favor"? You have an idiomotor response that can do that. So there's times we have to go, oh, we've got something else here, yeah.
Well, I've certainly been struggling with myself, Swan, Bob. I did one the other day, and I do a bit of healing. When I do healing on people, I get all these shivers through my body, so I know something's going on. Well, I think something's going on, and I was getting all of that, and my hand was vibrating and everything else. But like all it ever seems to want to do when it moves is like that, fuck you, I'm not going to do anything.
And by the way, I've had hundreds upon hundreds of these, which is really, really interesting.
Really?
I've even had dozens saying, "I will fucking kill you." I've had some of them as well. You've got to understand, Dave, I get pulled into some fairly heavy ones through different doctors and so on and so forth. People who are, they're really on the edge of suicide with this thing coming through. So I get pulled in for them. I don't talk too much about them in public, but yeah, we'll get beware. The Swan is not a fun thing only. There's lots of different things that can happen there. Yeah?
I mean, it's got to the point, Bob, where I've even dressed my Swan up, put a couple of eyes on it,
That's absolutely gorgeous. Do you know what I was thinking, Dave? That with you, I'm thinking a session with you at the end of the day, I'd be using I really do. I think we can take care of that pain that you've been suffering for some time. Yeah, I think it'd be great.
When you move to Southampton, mate, I'll come and check you out.
Well, that's a secret. We're not supposed to be talking about that. No, you get Steve Barker all excited. Yeah.
Let's see if we've got any more questions, Bob. So, if it's okay with you, Bob, I'd like to sort of cover a few things in your book. Now, anyone who's watching this and anyone that's watching the recording of this, I absolutely loved Bob's book. It's got his sense of humor in there, which is worth reading just for that. And it's just beautifully put together. And you know, you talk about your life and how it's shaped today and how you've used all those things in your therapy. It's, you know, really moved you forward in what you do. But what I was going to ask you was, I wanted to talk about the scripted professional. We did cover it slightly before, didn't we?
Yeah.
And the importance of in the consultation. Is it okay if you just share a little bit about that and the importance of that?
In fact, it's really important. I spend a whole heap of time on that. It's a shame because also, for example, right now I'm saying, okay, I'm going to be talking about scripted work. There's somebody watching this right now, Dave, thinking, I think I'll go and get a cup of tea because this is definitely going to be a waste of time. They have, like I have, like all of us have, we've all got a little slice of confirmation bias.
Yeah.
It's going to hold us back from lots of things. But so the script for me is really, really important. So my background is in direct sales, coming through the 60s. I was a national sales manager for a couple of companies. My people who worked for me were excellent. They were excellent, and they were all scripted. The scripted ones won everything. But being scripted does not mean that you're going to pick up this paper and say something like, and now I want you to go deeper and deeper. That's not what to do. By the way, that's why you should do this.
Yeah. I remember in your book.
I was a hypno analyst. I used to do that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I was useless. I was an idiot. Yeah. But even then, as an idiot, I got some great results. How about that?
I did exactly the same thing, but I did hypnoanalysis with Neil French many years ago. And I had
Neil's a former copper, yeah?
Yeah,
Who had a construct that came to him. Having said that, he was well read. He knew a bit about it, and he did the thing. But nearly everybody, you'll know this, everybody who was a member of that group, which was the biggest of its kind.
It was in Europe or whatever. The world.
They all talked about going back, find out what the problem was in a kind of a Freudian-like manner.
It was.
Because only then could they explode that problem, and only then could you be free. It sounds right, doesn't it? You get the problem, you find out, you take care of that, and they're free for the rest of their life.
It did work, Bob. It did work sometimes.
It did work sometimes, and 10% of the people, and most of them didn't. So most of the people admitted that, I never found the problem.
Yeah.
If you got them on their fifth or sixth beer or drink, they go, actually, I've been doing it for 10 years now, and we've never actually found the problem.
Well, all we used to do, Bob, was sit there and just say, okay, I want you to go searching for an intensity of it. Oh, do you remember all that? It was like, oh my God.
Well, and because of that scripted thing, this is a problem with it, Dave. So I've got the script, nice deep breath, eyes closed, and when my eyes are closed, very quietly pull out my script and start reading my script. Now, Dave, I've got one problem because they are about 5-6 feet with me, away from me. As I get to the bottom of this page, I have to turn this.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
The paper's been sitting for a while, and it's going to go. Shh, it's going to make that noise.
Yeah,
I know it is, and that's all I hear. And it's loud. It's loud in my voice. So that's it. Nice to breathe. Now you go deeper, deeper. You find yourself going into a deeper. It was just a nightmare. And even when I get
cough,
Bob. That's right. I got my cough. And you find yourself going deeper and deeper. And it ended up, they thought I was dying with the flu or something. I thought, I've got to get rid of this. So, but the scripts were good, but I need to learn the scripts.
That's the difference, Bob. Yeah, I think it's all scripted. When you do a course, it's all scripted. You learn it, you and then you put your personality into it. Then it's different, isn't it?
See, the best therapists who argue about scripted work, I go and I meet them. And if I can get them to show me their work and I go and watch it, guess what? They're anti-scripted work completely. Guess what? They are all scripted.
Exactly.
They don't even know that they're scripted. How about that? But here we go, Dave. Just to answer that question for anybody still with us watching. I'm jumping on a train right now. I'm taking a train to Southampton. Yeah. I'm getting off at Stonehaven, Montrose, Arbroath, Edinburgh, York, so on and so forth. I'm going to get into Southampton exactly spot on time. All I've got to do is stay in the train because the train stays on the rails. I can get off at any one of the stations, have a newspaper, have a cigarette if I want. I need to come back in the train and move on. That is scripted work. That's it. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
I get everything bang on time. For example, Dave, let me ask you a question. I want you to give me any number between 1 and 1,000. Tell me a number you can think of.
7.
The number after 7 is 8. How the hell would I know that? Because I'm scripted, Dave. Guess what? I know all the numbers.
Exactly.
I'm going to make it harder now. You ready? After 1,497, it is 1,498. I know all the numbers. But I'm in the therapy room as well. So if you said to me, Dave, I know I saw you last year, but you never said this, I would go, yes, I did. Because 1,498 comes after 1,497. And I always say that. And if you said, you never said this, I would go, yeah, I did. I can't remember it, but yeah, I did. That's what I do. By the way, only for the first session. I'm scripted on the initial session.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like people to remember that. After that, hey, I'm out there. How are we doing?
Absolutely.
I need to get that's the most important thing. Yeah. You only get one chance to make a first impression.
You do. I completely agree with you, Bob. And the way you do it is beautiful. It's like poetry in motion. I'm definitely going to adopt it because it's so important. And it's important for me, definitely, because I don't do that. I go with the flow. And it's not good to go with the flow all the time.
You mustn't go with the flow until you're scripted.
Yes.
Then when you're scripted, you can't go with the flow. That's a difficult one. That's in the book somewhere.
It is.
People are not going to understand that. Yeah. You don't go with the flow, you become scripted, because then when you're scripted, you can go with the flow.
Yes, exactly.
I've seen people going with the flow, Dave. They're a nightmare. It works like this. It's like, how are you? Yeah, come here. Yeah, fine. So yeah, you got problems here. Yeah. And was it your mother? No, I think it was your father. Was it your father? It was like this. It's been 50 minutes now, and no one's anywhere. It's a nightmare.
I love it.
They generally think they're going with the flow. You know, ridiculous.
Bob, I've got to ask you, because this made me chuckle. You and your mate Mark Davis, when you went to help the lady with the dog phobia.
Is that in the book?
Yeah.
I honestly have no memory.
But what a great story that was.
And the embarrassing thing, Dave, is it's completely true, yeah?
Yeah.
So try and imagine it. I was doing things in local radio. In fact, if anybody's watching this, you want to do this, if you look up right now, as soon as this is finished, go into YouTube and look up Bob Burns does mind reading on the radio. Just look it up on YouTube and you'll hear me reading someone's mind on the radio through the phone. I'm sorry, you will hear me doing it on the phone, and then somebody live in the studio. And so that I'm not going to say any more about that. You'll like it. It's a great piece of work.
Hang on, let's go back. Bob Burns what?
Does mind reading.
Okay.
On the radio.
Okay. I'll just put it on here so people can see it.
And if you want to, are you ready for this? You can even do this. Bob Burns bends spoons on the radio. Now that sounds crazy, does it? Because you can't see it. But what I did was I invited Hampshire to get spoons and knives and forks and listen to my voice. And the phones were off the hooks. They were burning with people claiming that their forks and knives and spoons were bending. One guy even tried to take me to court because the knife snapped and went into his big toe on his left foot.
I don't believe that, Bob.
That's true.
Me, mate.
I'm thinking, I'm that good. You know, it's just ridiculous. So what do I know? I know I'm going to get somnambulists who are going to bend the spoon. And I won't even know they're doing it. How about that? Back to the dog thing.
Yeah.
The dog thing, we'll get a woman that phones in, she's got a fear of dogs. So we get the radio station to come with us. Thank God it's not on TV, or I would not have a career. We go to the place, and it's in Portsmouth, I think. And we come in, and she's wee, and she's timid. She's, I'm really scared. I said, you're going to be fine. Well, someone's going to be fine. And we do the bit, and we do the hypnosis, and Mark's doing the thing, and I'm looking, thinking, there's no way she's hypnotized.
Because you were saying he was overconfident.
You get the brief, that's fine. And the guy turns out this guy called Fred or something. Okay, Fred, bring the dog. This guy comes round the corner. He's on his heels. He's being dragged like that thing's up in North Pole. He's being dragged by a big black wolf. I was hoping we'd get a little. he's got a thing the size of a baby elephant. And Mark Davis, the other hypnotist with me, screams, "Ah!" and jumps up into my arms. So one hypnotist is holding the other hypnotist. The girl is gone. She's over the wall. She's gone. We can't find her. Try and imagine how dangerous this is. We've now hypnotized a woman who's running through traffic in central Portsmouth. It's there. just a nightmare. But the guy who did it, right? The guy who did it, the producer, got asked to like stop recording. It's a recording. It's not live. We thought it was like it's a recording. He said, "We'll change it. Can we do it again?" We couldn't get the girl. By the way, I'm going to. This is a dreadful thing. I maybe shouldn't be putting this out in a thing like this. I've never seen her again. I don't know where she is. But they got someone else. We phoned them. They came down. Did it with them. And I spoke to the guy, and the guy picked a different dog, which was about half the size of a hamster. And even then, I can tell you, it didn't work. It was shit. And she went, "Yeah, I'm not terrified." And she was. I could see the urine through her jeans.
Wasn't this down to your mate?
It was just dreadful.
Wasn't this down to your friend Mark? He was really confident, wasn't he, in the book? He said he was really confident. And you were thinking, I don't think he's hypnotized her. Anyway, but there was one other thing, Bob, because I know we're getting short of time, unless you want to rabbit on a bit longer. But there's one other time when you were about to go.
We've got to let the guys go.
Yeah, you were going to go and do a seminar, and you had sciatica in your leg. And you were talking to your Swan, all that part of you, and you were saying, "Look, you got to help me with the pain because it's going to be a nightmare." Do you remember that one?
I honestly cannot remember, which is good because the people watching will know. They never planned anything about this.
You're like looking at your hand and you're saying, "Look, you need to help me. I've got this fucking terrible sciatica pain." And I think you said you just turn towards me when you've done it, and it turned towards you, and you still had the pain, and you were about to go, "You fucking bat," and then you stopped because the pain went. I loved it.
That is the worst advert I've ever had, and it came from Dave.
There you go. Look at
I can't
that.
remember. But it's ringing bells, you know.
Yeah,
I've just had so many situations, you know.
I can imagine.
And
Well, let me show people your book, Bob, because you know you'd be a fool not to buy this. Is it the right? Is that all good?
Yeah.
Here we go. Real or Imagine, Bob Burns. What a fantastic book. And I'm not just saying this because Bob gave me 100 quid before we came on here. It is a really, really good book. And like I said, he goes right through the consultation process. It's just brilliant, Bob. And then we've got his other book, Hypnotic Stories, and mine's actually signed by Gimpy, which I'm very proud of.
Lovely. That's my youngest granddaughter. She's lovely. Yeah. And just in case anyone's watching and they don't know this, if you don't mind, if I could just say this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gimpy, we've got 16 grandchildren. 2 of them I really like.
Yeah.
And Gimpy is the youngest. She has a bad leg, and we're trying to save up to get her a bicycle so she can play with the other children at home and at school. And we can't quite afford it. But if everybody here buys these books now, tonight, and Gimpy will be able to play with the children. But hey, she asked me, oh, hi, Granddad, will they buy the books? And I said, Gimpy, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. So it's not myself I'm asking for. Yeah, for Gimpy.
Absolutely. I think you're going to have a flood of orders, Bob, a flood of orders. I really do.
Listen, have you ever done anything with me online before, Dave?
I haven't, but I'd love to, Bob.
Well, look, we should do something before we finish tonight. And I'll show the rest of the guys what we can do. Obviously, I do hypnosis. I do the Swan. But when I get groups together, and if anyone's doing this online, they can do this with us. So if there's any, and Dave, I'd like you to do it as well. If you don't have a pen, you can use. Got a pen?
I do.
So, and everybody else, if you could just make sure I'm okay here. So all I'm going to ask you is to use a pen. There's nothing up my sleeves. There's no tricks or anything like that. All I'm going to ask you to do is this. I want you to take the pen. I want you to hold the pen up like so. Everyone at home as well, if you're doing this, hold a pen or a pencil like that. Or your finger, if you don't have anything. There's nothing wrong with your finger. Make sure it's clean. And if you've been to the toilet earlier, go and wash it again very quickly. So hold it up like that. Now with these fingers, I want you to take these fingers and hold your tongue like this. You as well, Dave. Now take the pen and put it up high, and take a cloth, just like that, take it down and put it on your tongue and gently push it through. Put it in the middle.
What the hell, Bob?
Absolutely no pain if you get it in the middle. That's what I do for people, Dave. I take away pain.
Do you know where can I get one of them, Bob? Because I want to use that on one of my talks.
Somebody would have taken a photograph at that point, I'm sure.
I'm sure they are.
Where will I get one of those for my talks? Dave, I'm not being funny, buddy, but this is my mother-in-law's. I mean, I had to wait till I had to wait till that lovely lady died, and when she did, I gently off her head, and I rip this very, very gently from my lovely girl. Many happy memories.
Bob, can you do a little shout out for me?
Yeah, sure.
And tell people to subscribe to my channel, because it's important to get out there all these different therapies and stuff.
So, Dave, very, very quickly, people will see what we're doing here. But your name is Dave Carson, yeah?
Yeah.
And what's the name of your thing?
Free the Mind UK.
Free the Mind.
Chat with the
Free
therapist.
the mind, and the rest will follow. We should record
I'm going to ask you to get your guitar. We haven't got time. You can probably just see mine in the corner, Bob. I've got a classical guitar.
So anybody who's watching this, what we want you to do is we want you to get hold of Dave Carson. He does Free the Mind UK. Lots of guys come on here. They can help you. They can tell you their story, and they can tell you everybody else's stories, and they can show you how you can do the things that they can do. So look, that's Dave Carson, Free the Mind UK. Also, great kisser. Joy.
I am actually, Bob. I've been told a lot of times, mate.
I'm still working. I'm still.
Well, I'm just having a go on.
Well, we've done an hour. We've done pretty well. Yeah. We think we can let these guys go, yeah?
I think so. I think, Bob, this Stevie Barker. Yeah. Bob gave me 100 quid, more chance of seeing Satan skate to work. I like that one, Stevie. Well, I'd like to say to everyone that has tuned in, because we've had this has been the highest number of viewers on one of my talks, Bob. You're a funny guy.
Seven viewers, and that's the best you've ever had.
It is. It is. Yeah. And you're not just funny. You just, you're a professional. You like 70 years experience.
Professional,
Anyway, I want to say thank you, Bob, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone tuning. I hope you really enjoyed it. And if you are tuning in for the first time, get on the channel, the YouTube channel, and like and subscribe so we can. I put a lot of effort into making these, and Bob's made effort to be on here, especially after last week when it was a bit of a disaster. But actually, it turned out quite well.
And very quickly, Dave, if I can just say this, I'm pretty successful at what I do, but it's something I did in the middle of COVID. Some of the guys here will know about it. I recognize some names here. I've worked with them. So if there's any working therapists, because we all need a little bit of lift up now and again. I charge 120 quid for my sessions. If any working therapist, any in the world comes to me for a session, even if they don't ask, the price is £40.
I'm booking you in, Bob. I've got so many issues, Bob.
Well, it's £40, and that's for as many sessions as they want. And here's the deal. If you come to me, all you've got to say is I'm a working therapist. The fee is £40 for me to do a session with you. And I'm not going to name anybody here, you'll understand why. I don't want to embarrass anyone. I've been broke in my life, and I've been broken. So if anybody comes to me and says, I'd like to take up your session, but I'm broke, I can't afford it, it's free. There's no questions get asked, okay? So no one gets turned away. And by the way, I've got therapists that I've worked with for free, always, there's not a problem. So I'd like the guys just to know that. I need them to be able to go and to go somewhere if they need to go somewhere. And I'm happy for it to be here. Is that okay?
Appreciate that, Bob. I'll definitely book a session in with you, even though I'm pretty balanced. But
probably 100. His own company, travels a lot, wears blouses. Okay, right.
And a great kiss to Bob. Don't forget. Right.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for joining us. It's been wonderful and fantastic.
And thanks for the guys coming in and saying hello. We'll catch you the next time. Take care. All the best.
Take care. Take care, Bob. Bye, everybody.